Hello, everyone, and welcome to Freedom Friday with Cruz Beyond Limits. It's yours truly here, Crystal Laura Cruz with Cruz Beyond Limits Consulting. I'm the Life, Fitness, and Business Accelerator, and we're on a mission to help empower you to put yourself and your health first for just 34 minutes a day so we can reduce the stress and overwhelm of life and live a more fulfilling life. And one of my favorite days and my favorite shows is Freedom Friday, where we explore the opportunity to set boundaries, to live a life of balance and love and zest for life, whether it be in life, in fitness, or in our business. And so Freedom Friday really was born a couple months ago with some conversations with some other entrepreneurs that I was collaborating with. And it just kind of grown into this, what now is a show, which I bring on amazing guests to help them shine light on their zone of genius, because we're not meant to do this life alone. And I've just recently got connected with Kali Kay here, and I want to bring her to you so that I want to tell you the story of the magic that has happened this week with this collaboration. And I'm so excited to bring her to you. So welcome to the show, Kali.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited to be here.
Yay, awesome. So tell me a little bit about what you do and what freedom is to you, in maybe in business or in your life.
Okay, yeah. So what I am is a tech tantrika. And so a lot of people ask me, what is that? That actually, if you Google tech tantrika, you will not find anything that comes up other than some businesses in India. And so what I like to do with my background as a linguist is break down words. So tech tantrika is a compound word. So you got tech is short for technology. And then you have tantrika, and that is generally what people don't know what a tantrika is. So a tantrika is actually a tantra priestess. And what tantra is, a lot of people in the West got the idea that it's all about sexuality and sex and things like that, but that's actually not true. Sure, if that is the way, the path, like if you had blocks and holdups around your sexuality, and I'm just throwing an example out there because you grew up in an ultra conservative family, and so you needed to go on a spiritual journey to heal that part of you so you can be your natural, free, loving sexual being as you are, then what you can do that in Tantra. Tantra is actually unorthodox Hinduism, which allows you to tap in whatever area in your life you need to have expression to bring yourself joy. And for me, mine was tech. That's why I have tech before my tantrika. And you apply the discipline of tantra, which is pujas, for example. That's your ritual. You design your ritual to reach moksha, which moksha is heaven on earth. That's nirvana. And so tech tantrika, the reason why I chose tech is because actually about in 2016 I start teaching myself how to code, and I got to the point where I built a web scraper that went to other websites and it compiled horoscopes. So my machine, if you put in your birthday, it would compile all the horoscopes from different websites onto one page. So you wouldn't have to go to these different sites and Google different sites to get that information. And I even got into a computer science programming at a university. But what has been a repeating theme is my life is I did not have the money to, and this is going to go into that freedom part. I didn't have the money to follow my dreams. And so I ended up not going into that tech program after teaching myself how to code in JavaScript and learning all this physics. And like everything else, once you aren't using it, you lose it. Or I still have those skills. I stopped giving it my attention and my time and my effort. And so what's really funny is that the first time I ever did that, I had to go back. And the first time I ever did that was with dancing. I wanted to be the first job I ever wanted to be in my life was a ballerina. And I got a book and I worked out and we had a conversation earlier where I was telling you this is the first time I'm working out in 2 years, and it's connected to that and everything else in my life. It's just so funny. And so I told myself in my 8-year-old head, if I can touch my toes, I'll be able to get into a dance class and be a ballerina. And unfortunately for me, I grew up poor, and that was you can hear the emotion in my voice. That was the first hurt, my first failure of trying to achieve my dream. And because my mom couldn't afford it. And so I actually made a video that if you go to my Facebook page, you can check it out. I did a test to it. So this all comes back to the future in tech. I promise you. So or if you just go to Dark Feminine Creative on Facebook, you can search me on Instagram as well. I have just launched this brand and I am building it from zero. And as I do, I am detailing everything that I am learning along the way as I prepare to enter in a Michigan State University boot camp for data science in September.
Woo!
So yes, I'm coming back to it. And now I can talk about Tantra because Tantra was the pathway, was the beginning of the rituals that I started to allow me to reach a point where this video I was just talking about, I declared that I am a dancer. I decided at that point I wasn't a dancer because I couldn't take the fancy ballet classes and I couldn't be in there with all the other girls, but I had put in the work and I had done it. I didn't have any formal education, but throughout my life, I had always said in another life, I would have been a dancer. And I realized I am a dancer. I dance all the time and I'm not confined by what someone else version or viewpoint or criteria of what a dancer is. And it took me all those years. I'm I don't mind sharing my age. I'm 31 years old now, and I just realized that all the abundance that I was looking for, I had been denying myself abundance. I had cut myself off because I didn't fit. I couldn't get into the criteria of what a dancer, a true dancer, the title to get that needs to do and what that looks like. And so another thing, as you know, I'm growing up, I'm following my passions was physics. Loved physics. It's a reason why and it's funny, the metaphysical world is just my jam, and it always have been. I've always been a spiritual person. There was some time that I fell on the wayside for a minute, but it was coming back again at Tantra, which has really gotten my life together. And so I'm building this machinery that's pulling horoscopes that just lets you know, okay, I'm into the metaphysical world. And my partner, my fiance, is actually a physicist. He does machine learning. It's like, yeah, like it's so crazy. I never thought I would be in a relationship with someone like this or even have access. And that just goes to show you how when you allow the outside world to define what you can do and what you can't do, you severely limit yourself. You close yourself off. And so you might be surprised to know this. It took, again, this whole journey of my life, 31. I actually just converted to Hinduism in May. It took all the way to May. But I say my goddess Kali Ma has always been with me throughout my life. And I have seen her throughout my life. And so one of the things I chose to do to keep me focused is to take on the name of Kali, that is paying homage to who is my goddess. I get up every day. That you want to ask me what freedom is, what fun is for me? That is me sitting with my oracle deck and just like taking in information. That is my guidance. That's how I tap into my higher power, me reading my hymns, me reading all of those things, those stories. Because when I say everything happens for a reason, my company that I had before was called American English TEFL. And when I graduated from undergrad, I didn't really know what I wanted to do. And so I decided to follow my heart. And there were indicators already. I knew I loved culture, I knew I loved language. I wanted to be a diplomat, but again, another time where money came in to get into the certain spaces where I just did not have access. But by the grace of God, I got $5,000, and with that $5,000, I went and traveled all over Europe. Don't ask me how I did it. I backpacked in sheer faith, willpower, and manifestation. I traveled around Europe, following my heart, not knowing what I was going to do. And then as I did that, I ended up meeting one of who is still my best friend, but one of my ex-partners. Um, which was crazy. Like, I'm only in Europe for a month. And that then allowed me the space to be able to move to Europe, where I became an ESL teacher, an English as a second language teacher, which opened me up to the world of linguistics because I wanted to solve their problem. And what I saw was they're coming to me and they're saying, I don't speak English fluently. Now, I will tell you, I speak one language fluently. That's English. So if you're talking to me and we can communicate, build relationships, and everything else, you're fluent in English because I don't speak any other language. So I can't have that relationship with you if you didn't. But what I was to learn was it wasn't only language. It was what I like to say race, class, gender, religion, sexuality, all those things combined into what we call language. And as I'm listening to these students, I'm learning about myself that, wait, we have a lot of similar experiences, but I'm a native English speaker. And that's how I got into dialecticalism, which I was like, oh my goodness. All my life, I had been judged by the way I speak because I am speaking a different dialect. But what I am being educated and learning in university is that my dialect is valid. That this is my culture, this is my community. We speak like this not because we're speaking broken English, but because English, our way of speaking English, is influenced by our ancestors who had to learn English on their own. And honestly, no one speaks the Queen's English because language is dynamic and not static. And so I grasp onto that. I've always been an activist by nature. And I was like, we need to change this. I realized pretty quickly, like, something has to happen, but it's not going to happen individually. It's going to have to happen collectively. So I knew a different teaching needed to start happening in schools that were not happening. And so I came back to the US and I became a teacher. And I built I was a teacher teaching in international schools and multilingual schools. And I'm still experiencing being a African American English dialectical experiences, people observing me one way, but I'm knowing that's not what I said. And again, I understand what's happening because of my experience teaching non-native English speakers. If I hadn't taught them, I would not have been conscious of what was going on, which then led to how language, truly powerful language is, storytelling is, how our world is shaped by it. And so it got to a point, again, when I say my goddess was with me all my life, it's funny because Kalima is, she has a lot of stories out there. There's a lot of stories. It's like telephone. And so, with the internet and things these days, everybody adds their own spin onto the stories and they have their own biases. And I'm sure you can appreciate this, Crystal Lore, because you're a DEI coach and things like that. And so through their perception, they create different stories. And one of those stories is that she's a goddess of destruction. Oh, you better be careful with Kalima, because if she comes into your life is going to be turned upside down. Yes, but for a good reason. Before I accepted her into my life, as I said, I was not on my authentic path because I was heavily invested in my ego. And when they say she is the goddess of destruction, no, she is the goddess of destroying your ego so that you may be free. She is the goddess of liberation and language. It is, wow, liberation, language, and wisdom. And when I saw her picture, she didn't come to me until I was ready. That's the craziest part about it. So all my life, I'm gaining knowledge. I've always been a knowledge seeker. I'm going after the things that I'm interested in and I'm passionate with. I knew from university, undergrad, to follow my heart, but I keep hitting these blocks. I'm doing incredible things, like I'm just a teacher in this school district, and I managed to get a professor, one of the directors, and myself all on a team to create a strategy to fully support the ESL students after being there 2 years and observing what the issue was. But then ego, if someone else figures it out, they feel like I'm stepping on their toes, that's done. It's over. Okay. So then there's other things I'm pushing. I'm in university. I'm in my master's program. I'm getting this applied linguistics. And I'm noticing that I'm influencing the people who are in this group, and they're learning from me, and I'm adding a perspective that they didn't perceive before. And we're all in this together, but I'm also noticing that I'm having issues with, why is this being shut down? Why is it that I'm experiencing what non-native English speakers are experiencing? I just said that. No, you just said that. And you're acting like I didn't just say that. Why is this happening to me? And being in my ego, I really took it personally. And I was really just like becoming a really angry person because I couldn't understand why so many people were coming to me. They could recognize that there was some sort of potential with me, but there was a breakdown, a heavy breakdown in communication. And here I am, the communication expert, supposedly, like I can understand. I'm hearing things that most people aren't picking up on, but somehow when it comes to my communication and being able to affect everything, I can't do it. So that ended up, the final straw was I was in my master's course, and this honestly leads up to just this past year. So I've been in business for 4 years. January 2003 was my 4th year, but that was the pivot when I decided to fully go into my passion, which is marketing. And there's a reason why I chose marketing. And combining that with my passion for my goddess, which is Tantrika. And so all my tech, everything I do in tech is in relation to marketing. So that's going to be anything in relation. I love data. I was actually telling Crystal Lore earlier, I love being nosy. I am the person who I'm listening. Like everyone has always told me, like, oh, okay. Like they come to me and they talk to me and talk to me because I'm really enjoying your story. Like, oh, okay, did that happen? Oh, like I'm really into it because I'm just nosy. I want to know everything about everything. And so about people, I really love getting to know people and what they're about, what they feel, all those things, how they think, their interests, all that stuff. And so with marketing, guess what I get to do? I get to know about people. I get to really know about people. I get to know what you might not even know about your people. Like that's what data does for you. And so finally when I got to a place where I actually ended up leaving, quitting teaching, I just walked out in October 2022. That was my last day. I had been building my business in American English TEFL that day, but up until that point, I'm not getting anywhere. I'm on a listserv right now of academics who in linguistics who get all the job notifications because it seemed like that was the path that I was going to go to in academia. And the universe, and this is Kalima, she said no. She said, no, you needed those skills, you needed those abilities, but that is not where you're going to use it. I knew that when my professor literally gave us content where I'm reading this man didn't go to undergrad. He didn't even get a bachelor's. He managed to you to get through the system and say, hey, I got this knowledge. Let me demonstrate it this way. He demonstrated his knowledge. They gave him a certificate, his bachelor's. He did his master's. He went through that. Then decided he wanted to get a PhD. Decided, no, going to class doesn't work for me. That's not how I can demonstrate my knowledge. Let me get my PhD a different way. Let me do it this way. And they let him. Don't give me the information because once I know, I'm going to use it. This is what I'm like, always like, oh, let me get it. So I wanted to demonstrate my learning from linguistics through my company where linguistics was the primary focus. I'm teaching how to teach English in a way that is not violent. So my mission, and it still is to this day, is to combat linguistic violence, something people don't even know is an issue. And so I'm asking them, I'm using the evidence, I'm using their coursework to make my case, to demonstrate my learning through my company because I'm working full time as a teacher. I'm trying to get a business off the ground, and I am a master's student. That's a lot of things going on at once. So I'm trying to consolidate it, and they said no. And so I made the choice to stay to take all the information from the library. I love going to university to just download all of the data because what I began to do, because I'm like, something's wrong with this communication. You're saying one thing, but I'm sensing my intuition is telling me another, and the actions and the results are backing up my intuition. So when I say I'm psychic, what I mean is I am taking in all the information of the environment and I am aligning that data to what it is that you are presenting me. And if something is not matching up, I reserve the right to be able to point that out because if you're in integrity and honesty, why are you scared of a question? That is the biggest thing. And so they were driving me nuts because it was like my English language students not being able to trust. The issue was them not being able to trust and gain that confidence in their ability to speak English because they're being criticized and picked apart by a criteria like I was with the ballerina did to myself. Oh, I didn't go get trained at Juilliard, so I can't be a ballerina. And I don't have the money to do that, so that means that's done from that. It's not a possibility. And so I started collecting information because you're not gonna don't gaslight me. This is how I got into data. And I got all the research, and what the research ended up telling me was psychics do exist. You can predict. You actually can predict what happens if you have enough data points. This is how I got into marketing, because this is the place, honestly, a lot of linguists end up in marketing, because once you fully understand what is going on here, and I can nerd out about what is going on. You see, you just asked one question, I just been talking because I get nerd
I love it.
out. Please, like, just signal me if you want me to go in a different direction.
No,
Or
you're great. You're sharing. You've taken us on such a journey, and it sounds to me like freedom to you is alignment and listening to those intuitive nudges and saying, you know what, I have enough backing and support, and data is huge, but
Mhm.
being in tune with your with what's happening in your environment, in your on the inside, on the outside, and shutting off the what I call the OPOs, the other people's opinions, like that is noise sometimes. And when you can just dial in and say, okay, what can I do with what I've got? We align so much in our stories, Callie K, because it is what you have taken us on in this, in your messaging has been so beautiful. And it's just such a true testament to following your dreams and utilizing the strengths in all of your experience and not shutting off what, that month in Europe and that partner that you met that opened you up to different opportunities, and not shutting down those parts of you and your experience, maybe some not so nice experiences. Those have fueled you forward. That's data to pack up like a little pedestal to get you to that next level if you let it. Or we can have it pile up as garbage and have a bonfire with it and pray that it never comes back. Or we say, you know what can we do? And that's a lot of times I love that you're just so in tune with the outer environment and then your inner environment, and that trust. And the title of today's message is having faith when it counts, unleashing that inner strength. And that inner strength, I think, comes from listening to the intuitive nudges and just trying and dipping your toes in and saying like, hey, it's a trust, and it's open, it's abundance, and it's like, what could be possible here?
But I love data. I love data. So I have a book right now called Honest Signals that I can prove to you, excuse me, that you can actually predict by language, listening to the language of what's going to happen next. And so going back to the linguistics violence, what really motivated me as well, other than just loving like collecting the data and things like that, is learning that data, I wasn't the only one who knew that, and that data had already been being used by media companies such as Cambridge Analytica. A lot of people I have talked to didn't really understand fully what happened there. And what they did was they took all of Facebook's data, which is like over 1 billion people, created software that could then unleash a message onto society and influence. Now understand, marketing is influencing. It's gaining information about people to know how to talk to them, how to like communicate with them and things like that. And so their goal was to influence the election. And hey, I'm not saying anything about politics, whatever side you were on or not. My problem is not one man should have all that power. That is extremely dangerous. Because of my love and passion for physics, I understand that at a fundamental level, I'm talking about the small quantum particles. Scientists have now figured out how to manipulate it. So I don't know if you ever heard of the double slit experiment, but there is a principle of uncertainty. This is why Cambridge Analytica failed. Because the universe, whether you are scientific, whether you are spiritual or whatever, everyone agrees you have choice. That choice, I believe that choice comes from that fundamental quantum particle that causes quantum communication. So this particle way over here is entangled. There's this wave. They act as a particle and wave, and they're entangled. And so this one over here can affect that one over there. And scientists have been working to predict, to control it. So essentially, control the future. It's essentially when you break it all down, it becomes mind control. And when I figured out they learned how to control that particle, and any coach, most coaches know this, they learned how to freeze it. If they could freeze it, then they can control it. And if you think about people, how are we frozen? Through fear. That's the number one way you freeze people, and you can control it. And so I realized then, at the time with American English TEFL, I started talking about the School of Language Liberation. I was like, okay, that's my dream. That's what I'm here for. This is what I want to do. I want to create the School of Language Liberation. And so what that is to help people understand when they are being linguistically attacked, when they are experiencing, like just yesterday, which is why I said, I want to work with you. I want to have a coaching session with you because you communicated with me through unconditional love. And that is a way of being. That's not just an action in a moment. That is a true spirit, heart decision. And I was confident in my flow and how's everything. I'm building up. I'm getting proof of what I'm doing. I'm running tests and getting responses like I never have before. So the universe is signaling to me, you're on the right path. Just stay consistent. Keep going forward. And I talked with my coach, a coach yesterday, and she tore me down completely. Again, it was another situation of that's not going to work. You need to have this, all this other stuff, which put me in analysis paralysis because in which I had just worked so hard. And man, coming to college, she really helped me build up that spiritual discipline to leave out of, because there's a million and two ways things can work. But if you are focused only on what you are used to seeing, you are not going to ever do the impossible. You're never going to achieve something that is not thought of. And where I am right now, I have to achieve. I am a tecton teacher, Trika. Google it. You will not find another. Meaning I am leading in the cause that I am doing. And so what I am doing, how I put that spirituality, which is how I got my confidence, because I'm still unpacking what happened to me last night, what that experience was, but now I have the tools to do so, to recenter myself, which before I wouldn't have even moved. I hardly even wanted to get out of bed this morning because of that conversation. I almost just stayed in bed and just laid there and just let those thoughts. I was frozen and paralyzed. Like, how am I going to do this? How am I going to do this? How am I going to do this? Rather than I started building a website on Shopify because I love making art. And so I'm like, okay, what's one way I can sell my art then? Like, how can I make this into something? Let me put it on a bag. I bought a bag that says Queen on it. It was very inspirational. I was like, oh, I love this. All I do is research other people's businesses, spiritual businesses, and things like that. So I'm seeing what they're doing, what's working. I'm seeing what the people are gravitating to. I'm buying their products. I'm following what I'm buying, what I know, works and things. I set that store up, wasn't even done, wasn't even finished. And already that email list started building. It looked at jank. There is no reason. Why are people signing up to that? They should not be signing up to that. Yet they are. That's a sign from the universe. I started putting out prayers, which are also work as mantras, if you will, or willpower to just kind of get your mind right. And really speaking, I do word magic because I understand the power of words. And it really is putting that vibration, words are sound, putting that energy out into the universe. And this page where I had pages before that had 7,000 followers on one, did not get get any really engagement. I had pages where, even the page before this one, when I started in January, it had 1,000 people following, hardly any organic engagement. This one, however, I'm putting out these things, and it's just a little flitter. It's not like a lot. It's not, super great yet, but it's an indicator that something you're doing is working. Keep here, keep here. So if I let what happened yesterday to me, and I'm not even saying she's doing it intentionally or anything like that, because I truly don't believe it. I think she does want to help, and she's thinking from the perspective of where she is and what she's doing. And so she can't see it. But what's important to me, I don't need you to see it. I don't need anyone else anymore to see it. That was the biggest issue that I had for so long. I need to see it. I have to trust in my signals from the environment around me. Because I think for me, one of the big things, and probably a lot of other people too, I got caught up in was when you start, you think you're going to start right away and just go, boom, get results tomorrow. And that's not real. And if you keep and you stay in that mindset, you aren't going to get the results because you're going to get just obsessed with that. And it's the climb. It's the climb. There's so much like what I'm doing now. I actually do have a system. And I will tell anybody, if you're doing marketing, you should use different strategies. Don't use one strategy of marketing. Use as many strategies that are relevant for you to use. You don't have to just hop in on anything. The most important thing is being in alignment, because that's your brand, to get into the flow, which, she was telling me about how she creates and things like that. When I create from a place of love of God. So I love that I can spend 3 hours a day just focused on God study. And I have managed to incorporate that in my work so that, okay, I just read this from the Vedas. Now I want to share this with the world. I'm about to turn this into a prayer. And now so this is how I'm producing content. I'm always producing content because I'm doing what I love, what I want to do. I'm actually in tune with my emotions. But aside from that, because, it takes a long time to build an audience and things like that, I'm reaching out and doing cold calls. And honestly, a lot of people say, okay, what's your script? What's your script? And they'll tell you, okay, you got to get past. Everybody says, oh, you got to build relationships and things like that in the first conversation. I have called almost every metaphysical business shop in this country. If I haven't yet, I will. And I'm going to continue to do it because I have a time block dedicated to doing just that. And so I'm doing market research. I'm getting, every time I have a conversation, I'm learning, and I have tried. You're not going to sit here and keep telling me that you can just get past these people straight to the boss by just having them, talking to them for 2 minutes to open them up. It doesn't work like that. I figured out how it does work, but that's not how it works. You can build relationship, but oftentimes when you're trying to build relationship, first of all, especially who I'm targeting, these people, this is their business, so they might have customers in the store or something else like that. So telling people to go out and make these calls and have 2 minutes, you're actually hurting your pool. You're doing very negative work because now that's setting everybody else who may have something to share to them. They're not open to it now. Because they have gotten all these people who, instead of being authentic, getting on the phone, getting straight to the point and telling them what they're calling for, and stop trying to trick them into liking them first before they say that. Let them decide, let them decide. And if they say no, it's no. Go. Okay. Come back later, maybe build that relationship, but not right then and there. Let it go. And so because of that, I've already, started building. I'm getting first names. I'm coming back. Okay. And now I know who works at this store. So I'm about to come back over here. I'm call you again. And we're talking. And I try different products. Sometimes I call doing my summit automation bill. Sometimes I call offering, okay, let me do your promotions. I'm trying different things. They all know, hey, this is my brand. This is who I am. My brand speaks in my name. Okay. I'm
Yes.
Kali Krishanu from Dark Feminine Creative. If you are in the spiritual world, you know Kali, you know Krishanu, most likely. They don't know dark feminine. They don't know dark feminine. Great. Now I have a conversation to start with you. Now I can teach you stuff. They love learning about it, and I love sharing it. So that's authenticity. That's real relationships. And through those conversations, using that stuff, so using my brand, being really on point, honest and true, my goddess, and then what my brand is all about, balancing the dark and light feminine energy, and then amplifying those teachings for those healings to the community by finding those light worker, those spirit people, and putting, that's how I'm going to do the School of Language Liberation. That is how I am conquering Cambridge Analytica and all the negative messaging out there that's freezing people. My role in this movement is to find the people who are doing that, who got that voice, and making sure they're spreading them, getting them everywhere so they can impact more people. And I'm having fun in the process of doing that.
Oh, so beautiful. And that's true freedom.
Thank you.
True freedom. Oh, I'm so proud of you. Thank you for sharing. So amazing. So we have just a couple minutes left. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So many incredible nuggets. You have just taken us on a path of resilience and strength and persistence and curiosity that is just so many powerful nuggets in here. I can't wait to watch the replay too, because I'm going to go back and I want to take notes. Like that's my brain like wanting to capture everything, and I can't wait to continue this conversation. So I want to just touch on the balance that you speak of, because I think you touched on a little bit about the fitness and being a business owner and trying to like push and have to feel that you're doing all these different things, and it starts to bring some overwhelm, especially when we have people telling us we need to do a certain thing and you can't do certain things. And I know for me, I have a diversity and inclusion consulting and a leadership firm, and then I also have a fitness business, and I want to host retreats in Costa Rica. And people are like, I've had so many marketing coaches and business coaches tell me like, no, you need separate companies, you can't put that all together. I said, yeah, watch me. So I just love your energy. I love how you try to find synergy, to have more fun, to bring more freedom, to be like, you know what? I'm going to lead this space. There's no one out there like me. Try Googling my name too. We have so much like in common. So awesome. Try Googling my name. I'm the only one in the world. And when I say that, they're like, you are? I'm like, yeah, there's no one out there like me. And even the doctors tell me I'm a freak of nature. So I'm owning it. Like there's no one else like us. And I think this is really powerful for our audience, that we are each uniquely us. There's no one else out there like us. So you get to design the life that you desire, full of freedom, and have faith and trust that you're doing the right thing, and try to block out the noise. So how do you block out the noise? How do you find that balance? Because this is mind, body, spirit, like entrepreneurship, overwhelm. There's timelines and anxiety and like technology and data, and like there's so much out there. Where do we even start? And can you give us maybe one or two tips that help you find balance and what your plan is moving forward?
Yeah, there are definitely two things that I would say is extremely important. So when I say I immerse myself in God, and please understand, like what I love about Hinduism is there's like Kali Ma has 64 faces. You can figure out what avatar, and they use the word avatar. And so, as a linguist, I love that because as somebody, and I'm not saying like I love Jesus. I grew up Christian, and I keep Jesus as a part of my spirituality too. But I love Tantra because it allows you to do that. You can just take any of these avatars that inspire you with their stories. Because when you think of the Bibles and spirituality, these are all stories. But that's the purpose of a story, you know. There's a song where they say, "Oh, Rainbow Connection," and there's a line in that song where they say, "Who somebody said you can make a wish upon a star, and somebody believed it, and look at how far we came because of that." And so I think sometimes we get so caught up in needing proof. We need to see, okay, it has to be this way because I only seen it happen successfully by this person and this is how they did it, and that takes away your magic, your creativity, your unique way of being and doing. And they got that down pat already, and they got how many students that they're teaching to do it exactly like that. So tap into your magic. If you got a magic that don't look like that but it's authentic and it feels real to you, whatever you need to do, that's that mind, body, and soul. I'm a highly suggest because you don't. I think wellness works fine enough. My partner is a scientist. He is not for any of the spiritual stuff like I am. He you know, he'll do it if I ask him to do some of those stuff. But me, I look at myself through my oracle. Kali Ma is my goddess within, and so that's how I can. I'm not at the point yet where I can fully walk as if like I'm simply Kali and I'm all the way there where I don't need it anymore. So when I need to know who I truly am and what but like my thing, trust myself, I look to my oracle where I can see myself. It's reflected back at me. And the second thing that I would say is I find people like you, people who you like. I get by with a little help from my friend. When I say it takes you, when you're getting punched because you're doing something different by everybody out there, I'm a strong person and I'm going to tell you it is so easy to get caught up in fighting them and trying to prove them wrong that you stifle your creativity and you stifle. And I actually, that's a healing that I've been working through because I know the system and processes and all that needs to be built. And so that I'm not doing things like getting my links out late for interviews, or I'm not having scheduling mishaps and things like that. All that stuff can be automated and should not be a problem at all. But because for so long I was caught in listening as my coach said, you need to make money, you need to make money, you need to make money. I haven't taken the time so I'm just focused on doing it for other people's business and going after them rather than first starting with myself. And that is so critical. You have to put the mask on yourself first before you can put the mask on someone else. So having someone like you who literally I got on when we had our conversation, I was defeated. I was so insecure. I was so unconfident. And it was through this is why I said I want to work with you as a coach with coaching, because one, you provided me the exact solution I needed, which was your crystal clear 90-day life plan. Like, how did you know that I was doing a 90-day commitment challenge for myself? Like, how did you know that? I'm listening to the universe when it rings. It rings. So I got that on the way. It's coming. I got the last one too. I just said that's what it said on Amazon. So I pay attention to things like that. And then it could have been a case because I've had team working with, I got 2 different teams that I'm working with. And this is the first time that I'm working in partnership with other people. And it has been a true testament to my leadership. Very true testament. And It's been a great learning experience, a huge learning experience that I'm grateful and thankful to the universe for, because now when I go out again, because I'm about to do this summit like literally 7 times before the year is up. I'm gonna do a summit. And you spoke that life by giving me the opportunity, because that feedback yesterday put me in perfectionism mode. Oh, it has to look a certain way, it has to be a certain way. But you coming, loving, unconditional love, no judgments, just providing that space helped me to feel safe enough to allow myself to trust my intuitions and go off of script a little bit, take what I'm listening to now, stuff I couldn't have known otherwise until we were in the thick of it and I'm listening to you speak, to actually create one of the most useful, impactful, powerful interviews that I have on that summit platform. So, team, the people that you have is so critical, because you have the wrong people, and this is what I experienced getting into the wrong partnerships. It's going to bring down your productivity. It's going to bring down, because now you're anxious and worried. You're building up that, oh, I got to go and talk to them about this. And they're going to tell me, like, one of the things I'm experiencing is having team members, because they didn't do their job, they act like I didn't do mine. And that's very hard for me. I do, like, that is a trigger. Because I will forgive you. I will forgive you. I can love you. We're not perfect. We're human. But there is no way we can move forward if you're not in integrity, because you are not honoring the fact that there was an issue. And what I have seen from experience in that is that it's going to keep coming up and coming up and coming up. So those were the two things: mind, body, and soul, and the people you surround yourself with.
So beautiful. And it was a powerful interview, and we had no idea. We just went with it. And I think that's such a beauty of one of the things that we, were kind of talking about earlier was consistency. And I posted actually just before this call that consistency can beat that perfectionism every time. And when you consistently show up one day at a time, one step at a time, you're building the skills, you're building the momentum, you're building the trust in yourself that you have what it takes to go after the dreams and goals that you desire, right? And so it's just one step at a time. And yes, we're going to be tested. Yes, there's going to be things that come up. That's expected. And that's where I think just staying true to yourself and being in alignment and just going after it, staying consistent, and that will keep us from being in that analysis paralysis. And just say, you know what? It doesn't have to be perfect. Let's just go with it. Like, that's how we started the interview earlier, right? It's like, hey, we have a set of questions. We might go there, but we might not. Let's just go with it and see what happens. Like, and I always say, no fancy studio. I have a 3x5 card with 3 questions on it. We got to 1. It's all good because we delivered the value, that the right message at the right time with the right people. And it's just been so beautiful getting to know you, Callie Kay. Thank you so, so much. Can you just repeat again how we can get in touch with you, your business, and what's the best way to connect with you?
Oh, yeah, for sure. And look, I just want to say thank you as well. And the energy you've seen that's the life. You've spoken to me, just being your unconditional loving self. So if you want to find me, you can find me at Dark Feminine Creative on Facebook and on Instagram. I do so appreciate the love of the people who went to my janked up website and signed up and subscribed. But if you follow me on Instagram and Facebook, you'll be updated as I continue to process and I continue to grow. Like, I'm having fun with the building. and all of those things. And I'm sharing that with the world as I go along. And so if you really want to be in tune, then you can go again to Dark Feminine Creative on Facebook and on Instagram and get everything art, everything Tantra Hinduism, and everything marketing technology.
Whew, I love it. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much for being our special guest here today on Freedom Friday with Cruise Beyond Limits. We're here every Friday at noon, unless they're on a plane, which is common, but try to stay consistent with every Friday. And then we have the Health is Wealth segment on Mondays at noon in my free community and over on Clubhouse with Breakfast with Champions. So stay tuned with more special guests and more amazing tips and tricks and strategies to shorten that self-doubt and the overwhelm and the stress of life and business and fitness. And we're not meant to do life alone. So don't do it. Don't try it. And just join our amazing community. We'd love to have you. We're going to lift you up. We're going to cheer you on. And you are going to cruise beyond the limits that are placed for you and the limits that you place on yourself. So go make it a great day. Have a wonderful weekend and reach out if you need support. All right. Cheers.